Episode 2.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
How you feeling, man?
Feeling good, refreshed.
Yep.
Back from Miami, feeling like we got a little tan going.
Yeah,
loving it.
You
man.
do. You're bronzed.
Oh,
I forget you're like kind of like Latino a little bit.
I'm a very pale Latino. I've got all
Yeah.
that Spanish blood in me right now, so it's like
Yeah.
very like Euro. It was tough to get a tan.
Yeah. So I realized something this week, for the first time, I think,
Yeah.
and it's the first time this has happened since COVID, that I've been in New York since COVID, and I've had something fun yet productive to do every single night of the week.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time that's happened since COVID started, the
That's
lockdown
sweet.
started.
Yeah.
It was Monday. I went to Blue Haven for bachelor night.
Nice.
And then Tuesday had jujitsu, and then Wednesday's this, and then Thursday we have the workout tomorrow at the pier.
Yeah.
And that's the weekend.
Shout out to Charlie Street. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think this is the first time that's happened since like being in New York a full week since
That's a good
COVID.
point. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing actually. It's starting to pick back up again.
Yeah.
Old New York's coming back.
But I was producer Herb and I were trying to take time to appreciate New York and what it is and why we moved here, and just trying to feel good about it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And speaking of that, we actually don't know each other's stories of why and how we came here. So take me back a little. When did you? Because you were living in San Fran after college, right?
Yeah. So I went to school out in the Bay. Then moved to San Francisco. That's what everybody does. And then I actually never even thought about moving to New York like my entire life. I mean,
Had you been here before?
no. LA born and raised, never been to the East Coast. No, been to Miami, but like I'd never been to New York. Never really had to care for it.
Yeah.
And then I had a boss who like kind of took me under his wing at at an advertising agency I was at. And he was basically like, dude, like, you've got to move to New York. It's the coolest place ever. It's a place where for grown-ups, for people who don't want to grow up. He's like, You're the perfect age. At the time, I was like 26 and just like living my best life. And he just got me hooked. And so I did research on it, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, there's more to life than SF. And he would just keep hyping it up. And finally, I was just like, I lived like my last 2 years in SF, literally being like, I'm moving to New York. I'm just like holding out
for 2 years.
For 2 years, dude.
Yeah.
Because the other thing too, right, is he was my in. Like he told me, he's like, hey, I'm actually gonna go back to New York. I hate this company. I hate this job.
Your boss said you just go back to
Yeah,
New
my
York.
boss said that. Yeah, and so he's like, when I go out there, I'm taking you with me. Sure enough, took another job offer. So I quit my job. I was waiting for him to kind of escape, like save me, and I was gonna move out there and do everything. Never heard from him. And then like he'd kind of keep me on the rope and just be like, hey, come out. He's like, sorry. He's like, I got you. Don't worry.
Was he like older than you?
Yeah, he was like probably around like 30, 32. And I was
Okay.
like 26.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, you remind me of me, blah, blah, blah. And so like fast forward, I'm there for like 4 or 5 more months. And I'm like, well, I can't wait around for this guy forever.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to quit my job. And at the time I quit my job, I was planning a trip to Thailand. I was going to take a month off and do like Southeast Asia and like go, I don't know, find myself, do whatever, find a ladyboy, I don't know. And so we go down to, so as that happens, as I'm like literally planning out my trip, I get an offer from a company who's like, we're going to go public, we're going to do this. And sure. And like, I took that offer, worked in SF for like 2 more years, a year and a half more. And then finally it was just like, look, I'm at this, like around my 28th birthday. I was like, this needs to happen now or it's never going to happen. And so I basically applied to 2 companies that I'm like obsessed with. And then one of them ended up being like coming through. And so like I've been at this company, at a large media company that's edgy for, the last year and a half. And so it's worked out great. Like, dude,
What made you actually pull the trigger though? Like, what was the selling point?
Yeah, I don't know if it was my like mental state or what, but I feel like you kind of start when you mentally attach yourself to an idea, you kind of detach yourself from from like that other life. I guess like pieces of like your I don't know, like a better term, but like pieces of like that are keeping you there. And so like for me, it was like SF was getting small. Like, I mean, you got to think there's 300 to 400 kids probably 1,000 kids in my class for my graduating class, and I would say about like 75 to 80% moved to San Francisco. Like it is literally everybody.
Yep.
And SF is 8 by 8 square mile or 8 miles by 8 miles. So it's like everybody's in the concentrated areas. You're either in like North Beach or the Marina, like to go out. And so it's like after a while, like I couldn't go on a date or do anything without like seeing somebody I knew.
Did you just feel like stale?
Yeah. And I mean, I was there for like, originally I was going to be there for 2 years and go back to LA. I loved it so much. I met like so many new people and some of my best friends still to this day there.
What made you go to New York instead of going back to LA?
Just the excitement of it. I wasn't ready. Like I know that if I go to LA, a lot of my friends from LA aren't really back there yet. Yeah. Or like are kind of just like doing their own thing where it's like they don't really talk to anybody anymore. Like those relationships are kind of deteriorating a little bit with time. And so it's like New York, I was like, look, this is my last shot, probably. Last place I'm probably going to really like move and live. Like, let's give New York a shot. Like Rick talks it up. I shouldn't have name dropped. My old boss talks it up. Like it's, forgive me. My old boss talks it up like it's like the greatest place in the world. Like, why not? Like, dude, he sold me on it hard. Like I was obsessed. And even, I mean, to be honest.
Is he from here?
No.
He just lived here for a bit?
Lived here, like, and then moved here for work after college. Mm-hmm. And like
then moved to SF and came back.
Yeah, and then came back. I think he was in SF for a bit, then New York, and then SF again. But he hasn't been wrong. Like this place has been every bit worth like the tit for the tat. It's been fucking awesome. So had the best time. Wouldn't trade it for the world. Like definitely in the right place. It's dope.
When you first how did you find your where did you stay when you first moved here? Where did you stay the first night?
Dude. So first night was on one of my best friends who you know's a couch.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like we should go away from names on the pod. I don't know.
Don't say, it doesn't matter.
It was on their couch. Like she looked out for me. I mean, she still looks out for me, but she looked out for me at time when I first got here, introduced me to a ton of friends, which kind of was like the formation of like what is our core friend group today, you know? And so I stayed there for like a week, and dude, I came with like poor woman. Like I came with 4 suitcases, just like left them in there, like living room, taking up a bunch of space with like an air mattress floating out. Like the cat like came and blew up. But
did you know anyone here besides your old boss and her?
Okay, I knew people, but I wasn't say that I was heavily motivated to actually like talk to
hang
them,
out.
reach
like
out
they
with
weren't
them.
people you like were dying to see.
Yeah, it was one of those things like, oh, like I know you. I could probably send a message, but like, you know, I came out here like to get away from, I think, the old like life. I think I'll get away from like the bubble that was like our university to like be like.
Yeah, part of the reason I came up here was the excitement of starting over.
Yeah, I think that's a big allure, dude. I mean, it's like well, this is the best place to do it too. I mean,
easiest place to do it, at least socially, I think.
Yeah, I think too, because so many people are like trying to figure it out on their own, and just be like trying to find new friends, not new friends, but like trying to build a life at the same time, not knowing a bunch of people that like. Kind of it's a bunch of misfits that find each other. It's great.
Yep.
But yeah, my first apartment here was Craigslist. I ended up running into, it was location. I lived in the Lower East Side, right on Ludlow and Stanton, right across from Piano Bar and No Fun. So it was like prime location.
Wait, not the apartment you're moving out of now?
No, it was separate.
Okay, so you had another one first. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was
it roommates?
Yeah, dude, it was a woman.
Was it a situation where like they had a roommate move out and we're looking for someone to fill the room?
A girl and a guy. The guy was moving with his girlfriend. Girl's there, and like basically like just kind of it kind of worked out well. We were on different schedules. Like she was a trainer in the day, and then I was at like working during the day, and so I trained at night while I was at work, and then like vice versa. So it kind of like worked out really well. Where it almost was like living alone.
Yeah. I get that.
But yeah, I mean, like then she moved to London and I needed a place to live, and then I'm where I'm at now with the ragtag crew that
Yeah. So did you find them via
Craigslist? Oh, find these guys, the ones I'm living with now?
Yeah.
Through one of my best friends.
Yeah.
We'll call him Schman.
Yeah.
Basically, he was just like, hey, we got a spot opening up. I came in. Maybe like looked at the room for like 5 seconds and was like, fuck it. Like, I'm not sold on it, but like, let's try it. The roommate seemed cool enough.
Yeah.
And ended up.
Yeah. Dude, your apartment, I think I think you guys have a deal on that place.
Oh yeah. 100%.
I mean, big living room, 4-bed, that street on the Lower East Side. It was
Yeah.
like $1,200 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's not everybody's, whatever it's paying, but I got, yeah, dude, that thing's a steal.
Yeah.
And honestly, if it wasn't for COVID, where everything's just like kind of like home space is so important, all this stuff, like I'm not convinced that our house would be breaking up.
Yeah.
It's just like everybody's kind of in a relationship and this is happening, and like it's just the right time. And I think we're all on top of each other, just like with all the COVID and thing. It's just like kind of like, you know, we don't need to be all on top of each other when we're all professionals, like doing well. So
yeah.
it is what it is. End of an era, but on to new and better. So what's your, Joe, walk me through your, how you ended up in New York.
One more thing. When you first moved here, you get here, you're crashing on a couch.
Yeah.
What did you do that first day or that first weekend, those first 2 weeks?
Okay. Great question. So I get in at 6 a.m.
What day of the week?
It is a Sunday.
Okay. Did you start your job right away, or did you have some?
No, I had a week off.
You had a week, free week.
So I roll in at 6 a.m. I want to say I put my bags down, and immediately the girl I'm staying with and her roommate, if I'm saying this right, take me to. No, sorry. We go have coffee, do whatever. Then basically, oh my God, I'm fucking this up. The night I get in, basically we go to she's like, hey, I'm taking you to meet one of my friends. We go and grab drinks at Wilfie and Nell, classic. And so basically, hot off dropping my bags off. We're already at a bar. I'm already getting
Sunday
slammed
afternoon.
on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there and I'm like, this is my new life. And so like we're both just like sitting there laughing, and like we're traveling from like bar to bar, and I'm walking through the West Village, and I was like, this is, and funny enough, I came to New York the February 2 years before I moved here. I was like, all right, I'm going to go look at New York.
Yeah.
I was like, never been there before. I should know where I'm going before I try to move. What if I hate it? So me and the girl I'm dating at the time travel out here, and we explore like a bunch of neighborhoods. And I remember hating it. It was like the trash everywhere.
Hating
like
Manhattan?
Hating Manhattan. So like we go to Times Square, the lights are giving me fucking epilepsy. Like there is just so much going on. And I was like, and we're traveling between like neighborhood and neighborhood. I'm just like, I hate this place. Like I couldn't stand it. And I was like, oh, and like, I was like, I don't think I could do it. So like, I think that kind of like delayed it a little bit. But then like I got here and it was like, I knew, like, I don't know if it was the mental thing of just like, I don't have a choice or what, but like I got here.
So
within,
you visited, hated it, but decided to move here anyway?
Yeah. I was just like that ready to go on. Yeah. It's the weirdest thing. I think after time too, I was just like, I just need to fucking try it. Like SF had gotten stale. I'd done everything I needed to do. And it was like, I'm ready. And then, dude, ended up going to just basically knowing that night, I was like, this is my kind of place. Dim lit, like fell in love with Wilfie. The West Village was fun.
Yeah.
It probably ended up being Late Night Joe's Pizza. Like,
Yeah.
just a solid deal, dude. I was like, this is my town.
Yeah.
So, what about you? All right, I want to hear your New York story.
So after college, I moved to Baltimore with, there was 4 of us, 3 college friends. There was 4 of us total. And we, and I like, I kind of didn't have the traditional, like, graduate high school, go to college for 4 years, and then graduate and then move to the city kind of thing. Like, I like grew up in a super small town where like not a lot of people like do that.
Yeah.
And so I was in the military at the time, and then, but I went to like a smaller school, and like definitely like, you know, I was there my junior at community college, military, and then regular college my junior and senior year, and like definitely had friends and went out to the bars and house parties and stuff like that, but not at the like scale that like I would have done if I went to like Penn State for 4 years or something like that, you know?
Makes sense, yeah.
But so I was excited. Like I kind of thought like this is my time to like really party and like go meet a bunch of people and all that. And I ended up, we moved down to Baltimore, and there was 4 of us, and the way Baltimore houses are set up, they're row homes. So it's like these like skinny houses that like line the streets, and a lot of them have like roof decks and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. But we were looking for a 4-bed, and we couldn't really find one that was like as close to the bars as we wanted. That was my thing. I wanted to be like able to stumble right out and into like the main strip of bars and then stumble home.
That's underrated for sure.
Yeah. Like that was all I cared about at that time, because I had never really like had that before. Like I wanted to be steps away. And we ended up getting this 3-bedroom place, but it was 3 stories, and on the 3rd story there was the master bedroom, and off to the side there was this huge walk-in closet. And I made a deal with the guys that I would take the walk-in closet for, it was like $300 or $400 a month or something like that while I was living there.
Oh man.
Yeah. And it was big enough to where I could squeeze like a full-size bed in there, like wall to wall.
Yeah.
And then like my clothes and stuff were hanging there, and I was able to like put like a little dresser in there, but it was like, there was no lights. It was like pitch dark.
Dude, you're like in the Harry Potter closet.
Dude, it literally was kind of like that. It was kind of like that. And I kind of went in with the deal that I made with one of the roommates, that in order to like kind of fully talk me into it, I kind of made a deal like, all right, but if I like have a girl come over or something, I have to use your room. Like, I'm not taking her back to the closet. That's fair.
What did he say? How did
he was like, okay, fine, yeah, we can do that. And but next thing you know, we moved in there, and another good buddy of mine, of ours at the same time, moved like right down the block, and we had just a good group of friends there, and we would go out all the time. And then I think after the first time I had a girl come back, in the closet, after that I didn't care anymore, and I just had no shame about that closet.
Did she say anything? What did she say about the closet?
I mean, at that time, you see, it's like, we're here. But I think this girl I was dating at the time told me that she kind of like liked it. Like, she thought it was like different.
Was the closet large enough to get every position in, or were there any sexual positions you couldn't get in? Because
it was big enough. It was big enough to fit a full-size bed wall to wall with some room at the end. Yeah. So it was good. But the reason I bring up the closet, where'd you put your stuff?
Like, what did you use as a closet?
My closet, my room.
And then the other guy, what did he use? Did he get a wardrobe?
He put up like a little like makeshift thing in his room and had like a big dresser.
Nice.
Kind of thing.
All right.
But yeah, so I lived in a closet when we lived there, and living in that closet, I had a pretty good job working for Under Armour at the time, as like working on their apps and websites as like a developer and analyst. And I was able to save so much money while I lived there because I wasn't like paying rent. And but anyway, it was great. But I think it was in June of 2016. For some reason, I had I don't even know how it happened, but for some reason I had like haphazardly applied to a job in New York City. And then they called me up for like an intro call.
Yeah.
And I had been to New York like once when I was younger, like went for the day when I was like 18 and like saw Times Square. But like that was it. I had never been to New York outside of that, and I had no interest in going. I really had no interest in like leaving my general area. Like
in Baltimore.
Yeah, because I grew up like an hour and a half north of Baltimore, and then was living there and was happy. Like, we were having such a good time.
Yeah.
I just never like saw myself moving far away. It was just never in my mind. But
do you think so you've never did you ever in your life see yourself moving to New York?
No.
Yeah.
Not until this phone call.
Damn.
But it was like an intro phone call for some job, and never really went anywhere. But I remember just when I hung up the phone, that's what like planted the idea in my head. Like, I could move somewhere. 'Cause sometimes when you're a small town kid, you don't like realize you can do that. It's weird because like a lot of people just don't leave. And that's what started it. And then at the time I was like, I had just finished like Mad Men and like How I Met Your Mother, and I had all these ideas in my head about like what it would be like if I moved there.
That's a good question. There's always like, I feel like some show, and I feel like everyone can connect some show to New York that they were like, oh my God, like I want to live there. Mine was fucked with the sounds, that show You with Penn Badgley.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know, it was fucked, but I saw the Brownstones and I was like, that looks awesome. And then I forgot what other show I was watching. But now every time it's funny, whenever I watch a movie now, I'm like, my reaction is now, have I been there in New York?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's always like, I think I know what that is. That looks like it could be Chinatown
Yeah.
like, I don't know, Brooklyn. You know, it's like I always
Yeah.
kind of try to tie it to something. But
I've
sorry,
walked past the bookstore before.
In you? Is it in West Village?
It's on the Upper East Side. Yeah. It's up there. I know someone who used to live like right next to it.
That's so sick. Yeah.
But yeah, so I kind of told myself, this was in June, July, I'm having these thoughts. And I was kind of like, let me start applying to jobs through that fall. And I knew I was pretty serious about it. But I started applying to jobs and stuff, but I didn't really get anything. Didn't really have any good hits. And then I think November rolled around, and I planned a weekend with 3 of my friends in Baltimore. And we just came up to New York for a guys' weekend. And I told myself, if this weekend's fun, I'm doing it. This is it. And I think we came up in November and had a blast.
What'd you guys do?
We stayed at a hotel in Park Avenue, and the first Friday night, I think we went to the bars in Murray Hill. We just walked around to different bars, and it was fun. The guys I was with are awesome. It's kind of the group you can go out with and kind of be goofy, and we were making ourselves a center of attention and talking to a bunch of people. And then I think the Saturday we ended up hanging out with remember when Tinder used to have the group thing?
Yeah.
You could match with groups of people. We did that on Saturday and hung out with these girls that we matched with on Tinder group.
That's sweet.
And we did that Saturday, and the whole weekend it was really fun. And it was enough for me to be yeah.
That's it. It's done.
I'm committed now. I'm in. And then I was in January of 2017. Was the day I was going to out process from the military. And that was the last thing that was holding me there. And the lease was our lease was ending around the same time.
Wow.
And so I was all right, this is the day. I think it was January 14th or something. Yeah. I was I'll be on my way to New York that day, regardless if I have a job or not.
So did you, for our younger listeners out there with aspirations of New York, did you have to put on your resume a New York address, or did you stay with the Baltimore one when you were applying for jobs?
Baltimore one. I think that's a big reason why I didn't get as many hits as I thought I would. Yeah, that was actually a mistake. If I was doing it again, I would probably put that I already live in New York. Yeah, I think it's just a reason for them to throw it away, kind of.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I just took mine off of my resume because before I always had it, and then once that happened, and they're like, "Hey, so are you living in San Francisco?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm moving to New York, so you either bring me over or I'm not coming, or you guys are fucked."
Yeah, looking back, I would tell someone to update it to
I tell people
some random address in New York.
Dude, I've told friends to use mine before. It's I don't care. They're not actually looking for.
They just want to see
sending you mail anymore.
Yeah. They just want to know they don't have to fly you in for an interview.
Yeah, or pay you to
relocate.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I didn't know anyone here except one person, and it was a guy that I'd only met him once or twice in person, but he was my college buddy's friend from his hometown. And we had been in this fantasy football league for years. So we would talk shit all day in the fantasy football league group chats, but I only met him maybe twice when he had visited Baltimore. And I hit him up and I was like, "Hey,
do I know him?"
No, you've never met him. He actually moved to Nashville a couple years ago.
Smashville.
Yeah, great dude though. But he lived he had a 1-bedroom in Brooklyn in Greenpoint. And I texted him and I was like, "Hey, I know this is a long shot, but I want to move to New York. Is there any way I could crash on your couch for
nice
2 or 3 weeks until I figure everything out?" And he's like, "Dude, of course, anytime." And so I out processed from the military, and then literally drove straight. I had this shitty car at the time, this shitty Saturn, and I out processed from the military, turned in my ID, drove straight to where the bus picks you up, and just 2 duffel bags, and then hopped on the bus, and then just I took the license plate off my car and tossed it and just left my car there.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
They can recognize your VIN though.
I don't think it was like properly registered even.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway, I haven't heard anything since, so I think I'm good. But I just hopped on a bus, got up here.
You're gonna show up with an arrest warrant. Like, you're gonna try to go somewhere, like get like a house lane and be like, dude, there's a warrant for your arrest for like 15 years.
Yeah. The worst thing, I think they just impounded it.
I'm sure they probably sold it. They're just like, fuck it.
Yeah. But I got here and then crashed with him. And then I remember, I think one of the first things I did when I went here is went to Comedy Cellar with a group of people. That was like one of the first. I remember that first night.
Did you guys get anybody famous?
Aziz Ansari was the most.
What?
He was a little drop in there.
How did he do?
Yeah, he was good.
Good
He was
live?
great. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, he
that
was
is
good.
awesome. That's a story for. How do you not
Yeah.
lead with that?
Yeah. That was just like the first thing I did when I moved here.
Was it the 8 p.m. or the 10 p.m. show?
I believe it was the 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And then I remember also like my first month or two here, it was just dating apps and dating apps and dating apps and dating apps and dating apps.
In the golden age of dating
Yeah.
apps, when it wasn't taboo.
Yeah, dude.
People were meeting their soulmates
Bumble,
on there.
Tinder,
Thrinder.
The League, like all of them. And dude, and when I moved here, I knew
Farmers only.
Yeah, I knew because I didn't have a job yet, and so I had some savings from Baltimore, and I knew that I had a couple months to figure it out before things got dangerously low, and so what I did is I got a job helping run kickball leagues.
Oh.
So that's how that started.
Yeah.
That was something when I first moved to New York that I could kill two birds with one stone with. I could meet a ton of people
Yeah.
and network and then make friends and then make a little bit of cash because I didn't really have income coming in.
Email them directly, or did you like you're like, hey, I
So
want to work for you guys?
they have the same thing in Baltimore.
Gotcha.
Like same parent company, and I knew the people that worked it in Baltimore, and they actually emailed the people in the New York office.
Oh, that's sweet.
But also, it's something that anyone can apply to.
Yeah.
Like it's not hard to get. Like really, they'll hire pretty much.
Yeah, my
anybody.
favorite is we were playing kickball and you knew every single person that was on duty.
Yeah.
They were like working it out. They were like calling you by name and like you guys were talking back and forth. And they're kind of telling you like, dude, get your team in order. Like these alcoholics are falling everywhere, yelling at the other team and like flipping them the bird. Like relax.
Yeah. But I had to do, that was what I did when I would, anyone who moves here, it's something that's easy to do that you'll meet so many people. And it's fun.
That's
it's a
another
good
one.
time.
I did 2 or 3 years in SF of something similar, and it was the best way to meet people. Hands down. Like I would tell anybody moving to a new city, join one of those social drinking leagues where like the athletics are like really second to the drinking. Because like, I mean, that was the best was you would go on like a Tuesday or Thursday, you would, you would play the game or whatever with your friends or with people you didn't know. Actually, I'll ask you this afterwards. But then like you go to the bar and like you would just meet so many people.
Yeah, dude.
So,
and when you run the leagues, you're like a promoter.
And everybody knows your face, right? Like now it's like, oh my God, I see that guy. He's telling me what to do. He must know his shit. It's like everybody comes to you.
Dude, I would write emails to the league and like rank the like hardest partying teams and like cop them like free beer and stuff like that.
That's the right way to do it.
Dude, I figured it all out like by the end, first 6 months.
Would you recommend, is it better to go in as a free agent and not know anybody on the team, or to go in as like with friends
if you're going to
fill a team? Yeah.
The best thing you can do is to go in with like 3 or 4, maybe 5 good friends and then have the rest of your team be random.
Yeah.
If you're trying to meet people, I think that's the best way to do it. Because that way you're not like completely by yourself. But like
that's a solid point.
Go in with like 2, 3, 4 people. That's the best way to do it, I think.
Yeah. No 0 to 100, just go like to 50.
Yeah. But I
30 to 50.
So I was doing that, but that was really like my only source of income. I did do this like other thing for a little bit, but I wasn't like, I didn't have like a salary of money coming in.
Yeah.
And so my first apartment I found.
Wait, so how long were you on the guy's couch for?
Like 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So I found an apartment on the Upper East Side on 75th and 3rd, like great location for up there. but I found it on Craigslist, and it was like a situation like you had where some guy had a roommate move out, but this room was $800 a month. And the guy that lived there was like old, and he was weird. Like he was real weird. Like I don't want to say his name, but I can like show you like this YouTube video of him after
like,
this.
Are we talking like he might have taken pictures of you when you were sleeping weird?
I always felt like safe, you know, but he was just a weird dude. Like you walked in the apartment and like he's kind of slept in the living room, and then I had like the bedroom to myself. So it was almost like I lived in a bedroom. I never stepped outside into the living room.
That's wild. How long were you living there?
Like almost a year.
Yeah. But
he was just like a sad old man. Like I felt really bad for him. Like I don't know what he did. He definitely didn't have a lot of money. Like I could tell that he was like poor.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I still to this day don't know how he was living there or how he got the apartment.
Why New York? Maybe he's into some kinky shit.
I don't know.
Weird shit. Like maybe this.
I don't know. But
that's another one. I've in movies. There's like a glamour. Maybe I'm just not in the know, but I feel like there's a glamour that they give New York that I'm always like, where the fuck do people find this? I was watching Eyes Wide Shut the other day, and I was like, great, phenomenal flick. Like Eyes Wide Shut, phenomenal. And he's in New York and ends up at like an underground party and ends up like at this weird guy's like costume shop, like all of this shit. And I'm just like, he runs into all these experiences, like a rich person sex party right outside New York City. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, where the fuck do these people find these things? Like, they must exist maybe because it's in somebody's brain, but like, do they? But if there was ever a place that ever had like holes like that, it's New York.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just signed the lease on my place, and that was the thing the guy told me. He kind of like alluded to shit like that goes down in the West Village. So like, I'm very curious to see like, is that real?
Yeah. I don't know.
Am I going to have some Tom Cruise moments? I'm going to just like wake up and be like, what the fuck?
I know one of our mutual friends goes to like drag shows and stuff over there, like even during COVID, that look a little like they shouldn't be happening, especially during these times. But I don't know.
That's the... We'll see. There's you can find a couple speakeasies and some things that if you know where to look, they're out there. The COVID dens.
Yeah. But anyway, I lived with this guy for a while, but the apartment was disgusting.
Yeah.
Like I kept my section of it pretty clean, but his section was gross. Like I dreaded going into the kitchen. I tried not to like cook in there. It was gross. What
do you think? Do you know what he's doing now?
Could not tell you. I'd have no idea.
Gnarly.
I have no idea. I could probably look it up if I really, really wanted to.
Don't do that.
But
some things are left in the bed, dude.
But so I think, and then I was having so much fun that first, like through the spring, and then like the first part of summer. So much fun. And then, but around the end of summer, like my reserve cash was like really running low. Like it was getting bad. And like, I think I had put...
Are we talking like barely afford lunch bad, or like how... Give me a
It got
scale.
there. It got there.
Oh,
yeah, it got there.
Like you're dumpster diving.
Yeah. Like going and like buying like ramen noodles and stuff.
Holy shit. Yeah. That's smart.
They, I don't know. I think when I got there, I was so excited that I like wasn't applying for jobs as hard as I should. Yeah. I kind of thought that like I would fall into something almost. Like I'm like, once I'm there and I'm like, cause I'm doing all these sports leagues and talking to people and stuff like that, I'll just fall into something. Yeah. That was kind of like my philosophy. That didn't really happen. Next thing you know, it's getting to the end of the summer where I'm like, it's getting low. And like, I ended up like doing a reality show going on a reality show one time to make like $800 to pay rent.
What is the reality show?
It's for another time.
We'll my God. That's gotta be a pod topic. That is phenomenal.
Yeah. But we,
what? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Stuff like that. And then there was some real like dark moments at the end. Like I remember in October, 4 of my buddies from Baltimore, like they had been itching to like come up to visit. And so I wanted them to come up so bad, but I didn't like have the money and I couldn't have them in the apartment. We would have had to get a hotel.
Yeah.
And then like, if you're hosting, like I'm kind of, I want to have money to like take them out and stuff like that. So I'm like thinking like how can I, and I never like told anyone like how low the money in my bank account really was. Like I didn't want anyone to know. Like you could never tell.
Yeah.
You like people that saw me at kickball leagues and stuff like that, they would never be able to know.
Yeah.
Because I was finding creative ways to like eat and drink and stuff like that. Like Did you
get like an allowance to basically spend on booze at the bar?
Yeah, so like when you do kickball leagues, you get like at Brother Jimmy's, you would get like $100 bar tab. You split it with usually another person, so it's like 50 really. But I would like not eat all day and then like just go to Brother Jimmy's and get like a pulled pork platter with like mashed potatoes, and like I would get all my calories in that one meal.
Yeah.
And then
unintentionally intermittent fasting.
Yeah. And then they'd hook you up with beers and stuff all night.
That's sweet.
So like you would see me going out and stuff, you'd have no idea.
Yeah.
Like I faked it so well.
So how did you land your job?
Around, I'll get to that in a second, but in October, my buddies came up and two of them came up on a Friday. The other two were going to join us on Saturday morning. And I was like, I can get a hotel for Saturday. I don't have the funds right now to do a hotel on Friday and Saturday. So I hit up a buddy of mine who lives on the Upper West Side, and I was like, hey, my buddies are coming up. My apartment's too small. Like, could we crash at your place like Friday night? And he kind of was like, sure, right?
Yeah.
And so they come up on a Friday night, and we go straight to the bar. We go to Jake's Dilemma on the Upper West Side.
Yeah, I know that.
And something happens. Like I ended up never texting my buddy back because we were like drinking and I wasn't paying attention to my phone. And a couple girls I knew ended up coming to Jake's. And so it's me, my two friends, and the girls. And then next thing you know, it's like 4 a.m. and we're super drunk. And I end up, like, my one buddy left with one of the girls to go to her place. And then my one buddy like left with another one. And then I just went back to my regular apartment, and my phone died and I fell asleep. And I woke up and got my phone charged, and I had a bunch of angry texts and voicemails. And my one buddy, when we got separated, like couldn't get a hold of me and had to sleep on a bench on the Upper West Side.
Oh no.
Like it was like stuff like that. There was like some real low moments.
This happened to me before. Not the falling asleep. I've been slept on twice.
Mm-hmm.
Once I was in Prague, and I've been partying all night, and the guy, I was just like, dude, I'm so tired, I'm going to bed. One of my good buddies, or former good buddies, falls asleep, or he goes home to go sleep, and I'm like, this is a really bad idea, I don't know how I feel about it. I go back to the room, end up basically going back probably like 4 or 5, knock on the door, he doesn't answer, kind of like getting more aggressive with it, freaking out, also like texting him and he's not picking up. So then I have to take my student ID card at the time, and I have to like shiv a like makeshift lock breaker in there, get through one door, snap my ID kind of in half, but like basically pick the lock.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet. Never done that before at the time. And then try to get through the second door and just can't do it.
Yeah.
And so I ended up kind of like sleeping on a floor outside of our apartment, and he's like, of course, like, sorry. I'm just like, fuck. Second time that happened, I was in New Orleans partying with a bunch of my buddies, and literally like me and this dude are out till like 5 a.m. I'd met this broad, and so I was like, fuck it, like, let's have fun. And so like, then like she got a little weird, but like me and one of my buddies who had the keys was just like, all of our friends had basically gone back to the room. Me and my buddy are like basically dancing on the dance floor till like 4 a.m. And he's like, I'm going back. And I was like, oh, I'm going to hang out for a little bit. Like, I'm not ready to go to sleep. Stupid mistake. And so like basically he goes back, never answers the door, and I basically roam around New Orleans because I don't want to sleep on a floor for like another 2 hours, walking around aimlessly, which like on Bourbon Street, like it's not the safest place. Like you can go one street off and you're fucked. So I'm at like Cafe Du Monde, just like eating my feelings away of sadness, but also angry voicemails and angry texts. And to this day he'll play them, and he's like, I still save that voicemail because it's the most fucked up shit you've ever said to anybody. Over getting locked outside. So I feel you're for your friend.
Yeah.
I understand where he's coming
from. He was
from.
not happy. He was not happy about it. But yeah, it was just some real, like, I think I remember rock bottom. The rock bottom moment was I had met a girl in a bar, and then she had been texting me, and then she kind of said, hey, she lived in Brooklyn, and she's like, hey, want to come like grab drinks? I know like the bartender at this like bar, like will hook us up all night. And I was like, nice. This is a date I could do right now. And I like literally like went over to Brooklyn with like no money in my bank account, like was like jumped subway turnstiles to get over there. Yeah. And then, I mean, true to her word, we were like just drinking tequila at this bar all night. And then I slept at her place. And then the next day she texted me and asked me to like Venmo for a morning after pill. And I couldn't, I didn't have enough money to do it. No. It was like I felt so shitty. It was such a low moment. But, around that time is when I was interviewing at my current job, which I actually ended up getting in part because of people I'd met through kickball and sports leagues. Yeah. It was like someone in the sports leagues was a recruiter for them. No and then way. The guy who was my boss at that time, I looked him up on LinkedIn, and we had a mutual connection who was a girl I knew through the sports leagues. And she called him and gave me like a super glowing reference.
That's sweet.
Yeah, so I got the job offer in like December, I think, which was like, that was a huge relief.
So and it's hard to get hired around Christmas, you know, like all the jobs open up in like January. That's awesome.
Well, I think the interview process started in November, and then I finally got it in December, but it didn't start till like mid-January. Yeah. So I had to I was like I'll stop living with the old man, and I was like, I'll go home for a bit for Christmas, and that way I can like eat again. I'll have like my parents will have food on the table, you know, and then I can stay in Baltimore with my friends and stuff like that, and then come back in January when the job starts. And I remember I had to get home, I had to take like a Greyhound bus to Baltimore, and I couldn't like buy a ticket. Like I didn't have any money for a ticket. Oh, no. And so I ended up having, like I went through my stuff, and I found like an old ticket that I had used before, like a couple months, over the summer or something when I went home to visit. And, but it obviously they scan them when you get on the bus. So some people have it on their phone, some people have the paper ones. But what I did was I went to the bus station and I hung back and like hid around the corner. And then as they were loading the final people in, I kind of rushed up like I was running late. And I was like, hey man, sorry, I'm running late. And the guy just opened the door for me and let me in without checking.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how I got home. And then once I came back, I was like poor for like 2 weeks until I got that first paycheck. So it literally was like negative money in bank account.
Where did you live when you came back?
Oh, I went back and stayed with my buddy in Brooklyn.
Gotcha.
For like another 2 weeks or so. Yeah. And then once I got the first paycheck or two, I got an apartment with 2 other friends. Yeah. I used it for security deposit and stuff like that. And then that's never want to go through that again.
Oh God. Well, that's
but there's a certain what I was talking to Brian or producer Herb about is that sometimes I miss the feeling of living on the edge like that a little bit. Yeah. I feel like we were talking that now I feel like we're too comfortable. Yeah. You know?
I see what you're saying.
And I'm trying, I've been struggling with.
I don't know, I was stressed out when I was making ends meet.
Yeah.
I was always stressed.
Yeah. But I still had so much fun though. Yeah. Like I feel like I was a little edgier.
I think that's what I miss the most is like, I had so much energy back in the day. You know what I mean? Like I could go out all night, go to work the next day, and like still function as an adult. And like, you know, the responsibilities when you're like just coming out are like kind of low enough where it's like no one really trusted me with shit. You know what I mean? Like no one's like, hey, like you've got to go handle something with the board. You've got to go do this. And so it was just like a lot nicer to kind of like, you know, I kind of miss there in some ways. Like I do kind of miss the like a little bit of like your only job as an entry level person is like to learn and like just get experience. Like you really have you have like very basic operations. But no, I mean, you know, you got to learn, grow and evolve. And like now, I mean, I like what I do, so I'll live with it. But
But I remember it was funny because all I would do during the day is like go to Starbucks and like apply for jobs. And then when I would go out at night to leagues or whatever. And then that's how I was making money.
Yeah.
So
that's the hustle, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody has like a New York hustle story too. Like, you know, there's always just like a ton of people who just start out that way.
Yeah.
Actually, funny enough, part of my idea of like what I would do if I was out of work. Cause like, obviously like with COVID, like you just kind of like start playing. Like I never feel like I was ever, like I have a good enough relationship with my job and at my office. Like I wasn't too worried about it, but like my fallback plan in the case that like, you know, I was to get actioned or whatever is like, I would love to bartend again. Like to me,
that's something I've never done. I've kind of always wanted to do.
I bartended in college and it was like my senior year and it was the most fun thing. Like I got paid only in tips. Like they didn't pay shit. But I remember like, it's funny. I'll go back and look at some sketchy Facebook statuses that I had, like, you know, in the memories. It's like, oh, like C&J is like, they're not checking IDs tonight or just come through the back door and we'll let you in. Like, what? Like no one, I didn't let anybody in the back door, but it was just like fucked up shit like that where it's like, oh my God. And I'm pretty sure the comment, someone was like, this is a little creepy. Like maybe you should delete this. Yeah. I was just like 21, like couldn't give two shits. Like to me, I was bartending. It was fun. But yeah, that was I got the mix stuff. And then I think like, you know, the other thing too is like I created a list of things, and I think everybody probably did this, but like of like what hobbies, skills, and things I was going to learn during COVID. Yeah. I don't think I've gotten any of them done, but like that was just like the plan. And one of them was bartending, where it's either like a class or like, you know, I bought the bartending set, and it's like, I mean, all you need is a couple recipes and you're like good to go. Yeah. Just if someone were to ask me like, I don't know, a greyhound or a slippery nipple, like I'd be like, I got to go look it up. Yeah. You know, let me check Google. But have you thought about yet? If you could, you're not eligible for the vaccine, right?
No.
So if you could figuratively get it without being eligible, would you do it? Actually, I don't want to incriminate you unless you want to answer this. You don't have to.
I don't have an overwhelming desire to get the vaccine. Like I'm not, and I'm not against it, but I think on the list of people that should get vaccinated, I believe I'm pretty damn close to the bottom. Yeah.
I'm with you. I myself am also considering myself that. Yeah. Went through it, battled it, was fine. And like, you know, so like healthy, all that shit. So, okay. Well, right now, one of the hot things I'm hearing about is people who aren't eligible for the vaccine finding ways to get vaccinated.
Yeah, to game the system.
To game the system. Because it's so new that like there's like nothing to really go, like there's no way to tell almost, you know? Yeah. It's just like a lot of process being built and implementation that's just like failing through. So, one of the ways that I've heard, I mean, I guess basically like, let's use this medium to talk about ways to get vaccinated if you're ineligible. All right. Like, so one that I've heard is essentially there's a couple places where because the vaccines, you pop them open, that they have to be opened and used the day of. Otherwise they're getting rid of. You wait basically for canceled. You go to a clinic and you wait for people who canceled appointments, and essentially places in, let's call it the Bronx and Soho, or maybe just like Chinatown, are basically giving away vaccines if you go at the end of the day for people who canceled appointments. So that's one of them. So we'll call that like door tapping. Yeah. Right. So that's one. Another one I heard is you go to the CVS website, and have you heard this one?
I didn't know you could get it through CVS. I thought you had to go through like the government website.
I think it's really no. Walgreens is like go through CVS and Walgreens, so it's very new. You know the loophole on this one?
Is it where you just lie?
You basically say you work with children or in a school. Yeah. Like, how do they prove that wrong?
Yeah, I babysit under the table.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we had a friend who is not in that industry recently tried that method and got their first vaccine today.
Yeah.
So it's possible. I mean, like, look, at the end of the day, like, everyone's going to get vaccinated, and they're having an issue with people not getting vaccinated.
Yeah. I think they have more of a, to me, I don't know. I don't
it's
know
not the
details.
worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
That little white lie. And, like, you're doing good. You're helping curb, like, a pandemic.
Yeah. If there was a shortage of vaccines, that's one thing, but I don't think there's a shortage.
No.
They keep saying they need more, but
Dude, and to be honest, like, I mean, like, yeah. Like, there was a lot of appointments left. It's not like I was taking someone's and like, oh God, it's like Coachella tickets, just refresh. Like, there was a bunch.
Yeah.
Like, they clearly have enough capacity or supply.
Yeah.
For like to manage an appointment for tomorrow, let's say.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Had our friend from DC just got his because of an area code. Like, Texas is basically just giving them out. So it's like, you know, I mean, it all depends on where you're at, but New Yorkers, those are two hot tips for getting vaccines if you're technically ineligible in this phase.
Yeah. We'll be there soon.
Also, New York, 50% dining capacity next week.
Really? I have not heard that yet.
Indoor dining back at 50% next week.
You know, one of my favorite places is said they would reopen when they get to 50%. I don't know if you go there. 310 Bowery.
Oh my God. The GOAT of bars. What? We're going to get 310 back.
Apparently.
Oh,
I thought
place.
it was closed because when you walk by it, it's pretty boarded up.
Yeah.
But if you look at their Instagram, I think they said that they're going to reopen at 50%.
This is great.
And then I listened to a podcast actually with their owner, and then he gave the details on it. He basically said that they have 82 Stanton, and they also own 3 bars in Florida, like the same company does. And the 3 bars in Florida are currently making enough to kick some of the money over to support the New York bars to keep them in business.
That's awesome.
So,
oh, dude, I love 310.
So that should be very soon. What day? What's the day? The 50%?
The 19th, so next Friday.
Wow.
Day I moved to West Village. West Village up.
Wow.
No, dude, I'm like, yeah, 310 is one of the bars I'm most excited to go back to.
Yeah, dude, I've only been there maybe 4 or 5 times, but every time I've been there has been like a 10 out of 10 time.
Right? It's great ratio, like just such a good party. Like, the vibe in there's awesome. They play
I
good
don't
music.
know. I don't even know what it is. It's just
the bartenders are attractive. Like,
when I moved down here, I was like, I'm glad to be within stumbling distance of there.
Honestly, assuming there's no lines, because that was one of the issues with 310 Bowery is the line was always a fucking shit show unless you knew the bouncer, which we weren't there yet. And then the other one is like they tend to get overcrowded sometimes. Like, you could find a table, but it was like
it
was a little bit of an
like,
overcrowding feeling.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like 50% will be great if you don't have to wait, because I feel like 50% of capacity, it's like you have space to do everything. You're probably with some cool fucking people because they're in the know and they weather the storm with you.
Yeah. I think I'm going to hit it hard when it first opens and try to sweet talk the staff and the bouncer.
Interesting. I wonder if this is our last weekend of like pandemic feels. You know what I mean? Like, I think next weekend, people are already moving back. The weather today, the last 2 days has been mid-50s.
Yeah.
So now it's basically spring, hypothetically. You got that. You've got now 50% capacity. Like, we're hitting the sporty, bro. Like, I'm telling you, like, it's coming.
I think, last weekend, we went to a gathering that didn't really have COVID feels.
Tell us about that.
We can save that for the next one.
It's so much anticipation for the next pod.
All right. Cool. That's it for this week.
Are we actually ending on that?
Yeah, dude. We've been going for like over an hour.
Yeah. Fuck. All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. We'll be back at it next week. We might have a special guest, a third joining us. Surprise.
TBD. No promises
Also,
yet.
maybe Herb will be back in the building.
He'll be back. We
better get him on because we got some
need
good
him back on the
Herb's
ones
hot
and twos.
seats. We got some hotter knots for you. Thanks for joining. Peace out.
Peace out.